From sketch to life, let's make Ghibli grease pencil. So I just finished this little project inspired by Studio Ghibli's Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind, using Blender grease pencil. Let's have a look at how I went about this. I knew from the beginning that I wanted to animate these creatures, which I have learned are called horse claws, and that they would be running through a desert, similar to this shot in the end credits of the film. I started by drawing the horse claws in grease pencil, trying to keep the design in the film while injecting some of my own style. I chose to keep the horse claw as one grease pencil object, but it was important to separate each element onto several layers. At this point, I added a really cool wind effect by adding a noise modifier and limiting its influence with a vertex group. This was a quick way to add some motion without any rigging. Speaking of which, that's what I started on next. Rigging can be a difficult process, but I do have some tutorials on this channel, and I also use tutorials from others. Some helpful links are in the description. Then I moved on to animation, and this was particularly fun. I always start with the center of gravity before moving on to the legs and head. The head was rigged to move independently from the rest of the body. This really helped to get a fluid, bird-like motion. One mistake that a lot of beginner animators make, especially with cutout animation, is to keep everything in sync. For example, the body might be moving up and down, and so is the head. This means that on the frame that the body reaches its highest point, the head also reaches its highest point, and the same for the lowest. This can look rather strange, but we can make this look better by offsetting one or the other. This will depend on what part of the body we want to lead the action. If the head leads, they will look more determined, while if the body leads, they might look a bit more relaxed. In this case, I chose to offset the head, making the body lead the action. This process of offsetting the timing is super important to my workflow. With that done, I moved on to drawing and rigging Nausicaä. I started by duplicating the armature and grease pencil objects. Then I added a sketch layer where I drew what Nausicaä would look like. Once I was happy, I moved on to the final drawing, creating new materials and many new layers. I then edited the rig to include her and attached the ends of the reins to her hands. Finally, I animated her to fit with the running animation. At this point, I noticed that the noise modifier that created the wind effect on the feathers and other small details didn't really cut it for her hair. So I chose to animate the hair frame by frame. I started by drawing some guides that the main volume of the hair could then follow. On top of the frame by frame animation, the hair was attached to a bone, which was animated to add a little more overlapping action. For the environment, I painted a background in Critter and created a desert floor that would loop as it moves past the camera. I made this in 3D with a shader, trying to emulate the style of the film. After some quick lighting and compositing, I was done. I'm very proud of it, and I'm excited to hear what you think. Blender is an incredibly powerful tool, and I look forward to exploring it more with you in future videos. See you around!